This is Long Walker. We're doing Long Walker's live factual Fridays. This is about toxic mothers. Uh, Parents in general, it can be because one of the videos we had isn't just parents, but then we go into mothers specifically.
I
So
I always say that like the root of all things that are wrong in the world comes down to the fault of a woman, whether it's mother, sister, girlfriend, wife. It comes down to a mother.
yeah,
It comes down to a mother figure. It comes
yeah.
down to so.
Same with the father figure. I mean, you have to have a strong figure within both because in order for the feminine uh, figure to do its job, the
But
masculine has to be there.
how did the father usually end up the way he did? It was because of how he was raised by usually a single
A
mother.
single mother, yes. And the father didn't stand up enough.
Yeah, and Pandora was a woman, and Eve was a woman,
Yeah.
so you're starting to see a pattern. So, but yeah.
Like I said, I mean, it's that what happened was the mother stepped up more, the father stepped down.
And do you remember?
That balance then.
You remember that Adam was punished more harshly than Eve
Yes.
because he's like, oh, but she tricked me, like trying to escape accountability,
But
he's like, well, God's like, you should have stopped her.
yeah, as a masculine figure, you have to step up to those roles.
Exactly.
There are just a few things that you must go by, and that's one of them within the biblical text.
Yeah, because God was like, well, you know better. You had reservations, and yet you succumbed and went along with it anyway. You simped.
Yes.
And look what happened.
The simp is the downfall of men.
Yeah. It's like it's okay to treasure them and to go above and beyond for them and everything,
Yes.
but to simp is to be not a fruitful means.
Exactly. And it's like a lot of this goes with too some of the Hadons lately. He's been covering this type of thing too with where the women's are. He's been getting so much more crass.
Oh my
it's
God,
so funny.
He's so cynical. It is. It's really funny, but it's like he used to be like the softest of
I
them
know,
all.
the softest
Yeah.
spoken.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It was the same day as today too, and it was like, oh my God.
He talked about just about every subject under the sun on today's.
It's like, you okay? I tell you, you little bitch. This is.
I love him. He's so funny.
He is.
All right, now let's get back to our subject, and let's get back. We got a few videos here, a couple short ones, and then we're gonna go into Amir's, his a longer one that we have. That'll be our main focus.
Yeah, the last time we did his, it was I think on the same kind of a subject, like why people are going no contact.
Yeah.
But it ended up taking us 2 days to finish. So.
It did, yeah. So we'll see about this one. Who knows? It might take us another day.
I know he's making another one that's specifically about
fathers.
Yeah, so
yes.
That'll be really cool.
And I mean, it does. It comes down, mostly the mothers, because the mother figure is supposed to step the father figure up.
You're supposed to be inspirational. You're
yes.
supposed to be a shepherd. You're supposed to, like.
So I mean, for people to say, well, the feminine doesn't have any rights, doesn't have, and that's a lie. It's a bold lie. That I mean, feminine's always had her role, always had her spot and power.
It's sacred.
Yes. The Egyptian days. I mean, within it all.
All the way back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at some points or another, from the point of caveman days and on, like men started understanding that it was better to ask rather than take. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It means of like sexual nature and everything. And when that started happening, so they started realizing that they got so much more in return that way.
Yes.
Instead of just a woman living in fear and being used and abused. So it's like from that moment on, men have inherently recognized the value of women.
Exactly.
There's been a handful of misogynistic figures throughout history, but there's also been a handful of misandrist figures throughout history. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this going. Muting.
When we bring up our own traumatic events regarding our parents, we're shushed and shunned with phrases like, they did the best they could, they did everything for you, or the usual, you're ungrateful. While our parents might have meant well, it's undeniable that some are highly toxic. The consequence of this lifetime of toxic parenting is an adult who continues to suffer from an unhealthy perspective of love and relationships and a lack of understanding of their own emotional and mental needs. So, with that said, here are 10 characteristics of highly toxic parents and how they affect you. Number 1, they're hypercritical. Criticism from parents is normal. Well-adjusted criticism can help you see the flaws in a plan and make better choices for yourself. However, if your parents are overly critical of you on a regular basis, this is a toxic trait. This constant criticism and sometimes comparison can make a child feel like they aren't good enough or at fault for their parents' constant attacks on them. This result is an adult who has a harsh inner critic as a constant companion. This inner critic can actually sound like your parents' voice, telling you detrimental things all the time. Number 2, they don't allow you to express your true feelings. Healthy parents are aware that their children have emotions and opinions too. They welcome the expression and discussion from their children. Highly toxic parents don't have this awareness. Highly toxic parents take a child expressing their confusing and difficult emotions as attacks on their character. There are no individual feelings, just a few collective emotions. Parents being dismissive of their children's emotions can result in depression, according to the American Psychological Association, because their true self is being suppressed. This results in a child who can't express or identify their own needs as an adult who suffers the same and aims to please everyone because that's what they know. Are you having trouble staying productive? Is stress and anxiety stopping you from getting a good night's sleep? We'd like to thank Endel, our sponsor for this video. Helping you sleep, relax, and focus is what Endel does best. With their personalized soundscapes, they can create feelings of comfort and safety, boost your productivity, and even soothe you into a deep sleep with their gentle sounds. With their AI-powered core technology, Endel adapts in real time to personal inputs such as location, weather, and time of day in order to create the most effective music possible. With their extensive backing in neuroscience and innovative technology, unproductivity and sleepless nights are a thing of the past. Right now, they have a great deal. The first 100 people to download Endel will get a free week of audio experience. Check out the description below for this limited and exclusive offer. Number 3, they compete with you. Being competitive is a good thing that can help you become more resilient and confident about making your dreams a reality. Having parents that inspire you to exceed in what you want to do is a blessing. Toxic parents seem to view their children as competitors.
All right, we got Nepper here, and she wanted to say some stuff.
Okay, so being competitive, yeah, like that makes sense. My mother was always comparing me to where she was in life, and
Yes.
kind of like if I started doing something, she wanted to do it and do it better.
I know that she always, like, if there's somebody that you talked about, a guy, she would always try to.
Yeah, my friends.
Yeah.
Even just friends, and
Yeah.
it was like they were always better friends with her than they were with me.
Well, because she didn't have friends anyway.
Yeah, so it was
She
like
had coworkers that.
right, but it's like I barely had hardly any friends throughout my life as it was, and then she had to go out and like literally snipe them.
Well, she made sure that you were within. She kept you at the house.
And then when people came to visit, she would go and like steal them away, talk with them, and it's like. But also, she pushed me to be extremely competitive with like everybody that I met. When Kimberly was going to school, she wanted me to do better than her. When she was going to go and start being a veterinarian, she wanted me to do it sooner. She wanted me to be a veterinarian, and she was always like down talking my friends, like, oh my God, well, what does she know, and all this stuff. And it's like, I wasn't made up to be a veterinarian. Kimberly was made up to live that kind of a life and follow those constraints and everything. And that's fine, but it was like every single thing she forced me to be competitive.
I know, I saw it.
And it's like I look back and it's like, Jesus, it's a wonder like anybody wanted to be around me at all, because it was like I was a good sport about it, but it was just that like never ending like low key edge of comparison and competition.
I know. And it's like you can still kind of see it with our gaming, but I mean that's more fun. That's more,
Oh yeah, that's
you
just
know,
that's just
family pushing and
yeah,
stuff
that's
like
just
that.
me, but it's like
But it's like that's how she made do with everything.
yes.
You know, I mean worse.
Yeah, like when Kimberly was getting married, then it was like she wanted me to get married before her,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like shit, you didn't want me to get married at all a couple weeks ago. Now what, you know?
Exactly.
You know, so it was like I don't know. But yeah.
It's that boss bee mentality right there.
They might derail your success or goals by using sabotage and belittling your dreams and accomplishments. You end up not feeling confident in reaching your own goals. Some highly toxic parents are quite jealous of their children and the opportunities that they have, so they might overtake you in your goals or force you to live their own long gone dreams. Number 4, they don't see their children as individuals. Highly toxic parents, or HTPs, see their children as extensions of themselves only. They want their kids to follow in their footsteps or live out the dreams they never got to accomplish. Because they see their kids as small versions of themselves, they fear the kids being autonomous and leaving them, so they prevent them from being themselves and functioning as an individual. Any undesirable behavior that can make them look bad is ridiculed both publicly and privately. The child becomes an adult who doesn't have a separate identity, nor do they know who they are. Number 5, they control their children using guilt and money. Healthy parents can give gifts.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this one especially resonates with both myself and Nefer here. The guilt and money. It's like you hear that for whatever reason with this generation, what is it, like we're the millennials, right?
Yeah.
Most millennials have their parents having these issues. The narcissism, the guilt. It's like, oh well, then they'll go out and buy you this stuff. And, well, I got you that.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you grateful?
Yeah. Or I went out of my way to do this for you. I took
Yes.
you home. I took you shopping. You know, why are
I know.
you not more grateful? It's like, you know.
Even at the very end there, she took you to Walmart, but then she got into a big fight over the whole thing.
Yeah. And I remember.
Sorry, bear with us, ladies and gentlemen.
He's just been this way
Yeah.
for a couple of days now. But I remember like having an argument with her when I was probably only like maybe 15 or so. And I was like, yeah, you act like I owe you everything, that I'm gonna be taking care of you for the rest of my life. And she's like, oh yeah, you are. She's like, you better believe it that you were gonna be like taking care of me and paying me back for the rest of your life.
Alright, you want to speak on the subject too? No. But that's just it. Like I said, your mother really. I mean, she had grade. I think that's the only person I really knew her to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so she didn't have anybody else, and so she couldn't see being alone. She couldn't see not having somebody to help clean up and do stuff for her.
You're right. And by the time that I stopped talking to her, though, she wasn't talking to Greg either.
No, she didn't have anybody. She was completely shutting down.
And it's the problem is I was still offering to go up there and take care of her stuff. I was just not going to be living there and doing it anymore.
No. You offered to make her dog food for her, hand make it, prep other things for her.
Okay, because here was the deal. She was always just kind of throwing money at me here and there, and I kind of like tallied it up, and I was like, okay, how about if you give me $500 a month, and I will make the dog food for you for that entire month, and I'll come up twice a month and help you clean up and take your stuff to the dump and everything. $500.
Yeah.
And she was like, so I have to pay you more money now? And I'm like, that is less than what you have been just throwing at me, and I don't need that anymore. And at least this time, it's like you're saving money yourself. You don't have to pay for dog food. You don't have to pay for cat food. I'll take care of all of that. So you'll be saving money. And it was just like, it's like either it went over her head or she just wasn't having it. I don't know.
No, they start to lose power and they see that.
Yeah.
It's like we got off of our narcotics and went to something else that's by far better natural.
Yeah.
And we tried to let her know, listen, you can do it because her mother's
She's been on narcotics since she was 15 or 16.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not a way to live.
No.
It's not a way to go. We're just trying to help her. And she's like, oh, you think you're better than me, don't you?
Yeah, ever since we started living clean, that's the exact tone that she had. That, when she put quotes around it, and she's like, ever since we started living clean, you think that you're like so much better than everybody else. And,
yeah.
Like, you can tell other people how to live. And I'm like, I'm admitting that I've been taking too much money from you. I've admitted that I've been taking your pills and stuff. And now I am not doing any of those things. I've stayed away from you for like a year, and you've seen that I haven't done those things. And it wasn't enough, or it was too much. I don't know. But it's just like.
And so we've been no contact with her for how long? 2 years or something?
6 years. It'll be
God.
It'll be 6 years in July.
No, even trying.
She does not even know that this. Well, she probably does know that he exists, but she has not met him and will not meet him under the conditions that she's at. So.
Yeah. If she wants to get herself better and own up to what she's done, then by all means.
It's like, that's the difference between my mother and your mother. Your mother is just a floozy. She just is like in her own little world. She's in La La Land.
Yeah.
My mother is dangerous. She's very malicious and very malignant, and I just can't have that around us anymore.
No.
And the thing is we didn't go no contact with her. She's the one that pretty much went no contact with us.
She cut it off with us.
Yeah.
And then we just said, that's fine, and
and it's
we
just
pull on away from it. It's been so much better.
It's like 2 years. For 2 years, I kept trying to say, okay, well, I made this place for you. You can come and bring your dog. You can visit. It's just like a place to decompress. And nothing. And she straight up even told me in Walmart, not the last time, but the time before that. Remember when I got it, when I came around the corner and scared the hell out of that poor lady, because I was like, what the fuck her problem is, And she was like saying, I'm like, you won't even come around anymore. She's like, no, I will never go up there now. And I'm like, so now that things are cleaned up, and now that I don't need anything from you, now you're not going to come up here?
I mean, your mother caused so much problems for us.
Between us, yes.
Between us, and then some of the issues that she started afterwards. What she did, she got us when she was trying to take care of the animals.
Oh my God.
And she couldn't.
Like, I had my surgery.
Yes.
And nobody else was around, and she was supposed to be coming up here every other day and taking care of the animals. Well, damn, animal control was called because they said nobody was here and all that shit. And she couldn't even handle that. And my record is still clean. When I've been in charge, I've had no undue horses born. Yeah. When she was in charge, I had 2 or 3 years in which I had a bunch of crap horses born that subsequently died because of her. Yeah. I did not have that problem, have not had that problem since I've been back in control of my property.
6 years.
6 years.
We've got a male, we've got a female here.
And for 12 years before that.
Yes.
Nothing. And then for just about a year and a half that she was like in charge of shit, everything went to hell.
And she was like, she won't admit to any of that.
No.
She'd blame something else every single time.
Yeah, because you weren't here at that time.
Yeah.
You should have stuck around. Well, she forced me to kick you out that night.
Yeah.
Because she said that if I didn't, she was going to take him and go back to Kelso and have him, start pushing to get custody of him because it was too volatile of a situation here.
Yeah, because of her.
Yeah.
She started all of the fights between us.
Exactly. So funny how that hasn't happened since she's been gone.
Yes. And she tried to use the grandparents' right thing on you a couple of times too. And it's like, no, your grandparents have no right.
Right. And it's like, yeah, especially in California, but it's like, and she could have pursued it, and I said, go ahead. Yeah. Because she was giving that, well, you had better start doing things differently. You had better make contact with me, and then it's like, okay. And so then I do start communicating with her more regularly, and she pulls this stuff.
I know.
So in order for the grandparents' rights thing to take any kind of like effect, it has to show that there has been a pattern in which you have been in the child's life.
And you've tried, you pushed,
that
you've
reached out,
so many times, Guru, Wolfwood Productions, he had so many issues with her.
Yeah.
There was she hit him.
Yeah.
And I mean, he would look at us like,
Yeah, he was 4 years old, and she was sitting there holding a bunch of cat food to get into her damn house. And it was a screen door that you had to push in and then shove the key in and kind of lift up and turn and to open, and he couldn't do it. And so she ended up give slapping him, in the back of the head. And I'm like, a biff, as they call it. And she was like, he's like, I didn't think anything of it because she did that to me all the time.
Yeah.
But my God, the look of betrayal on his face. And then the last straw was when she gave him that present and wouldn't even let him put his own stickers on.
Yeah, the car, the ride-on car.
And then
really nice one.
And then he didn't want anything to do with it afterwards.
And it was like I had to hold my tongue on that one so much because I was helping him put it together. And it's like he wanted to do the stickers, so I'm like, go ahead, it's your vehicle. Yeah. That's cool, go do it. And then she was like, oh my God, it's not straight.
Yeah.
He isn't gonna do it right. You have to do it this way. And it was like I was holding my tongue so much.
I know, and it's like I barely meekly got out, while it is his vehicle. He bought it for him, and it pissed her off, but he noticed and he was like happy about that.
Yeah.
But it's like he really didn't want to have anything to do with that damn car after that because he felt like it wasn't really like his.
His, exactly.
It just made him feel really weird about it. And yes, she did some things that were not excusable with him, and that was essentially what started me not.
Yeah.
It's for his sake that I broke away from it and have kept it that way.
And it's a family generational thing. Your grandmother has done the same.
Yeah, she's that's a whole nother thing.
It is. That's another live stream.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we won't even get on with any of the videos.
She was pretty shitty to both of us too.
Yeah.
But everybody thinks she's so sweet and she's so nice, and I'm like, yeah, well, give it about 5 years max, and you'll find out.
Well, but that's the problem is nobody's around her long enough to know.
Right.
Everybody's like, oh, well, she's really cool. She's really this. She's that. She started wildlife up in rescue up in.
Yeah, right. My mother, yes.
Kern River, and your grandmother's the same way though.
Yeah.
It's like nobody knows them long enough to really know the true them because
Right.
they can put on a show for you.
They really can. But it's funny that neither of them have friends.
No.
Anymore.
They only have each other.
Right. And
that we've seen. I mean, I don't think that she has anybody else.
She straight up hates my grandmother. She hates her.
Yeah.
But because she wants the money,
exactly.
She'll go and play this game.
And we said, screw you guys, we don't need the money.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some times that it really would have come in handy.
Oh God, yeah.
But it is not worth that. It is
it's not worth dealing with them.
It's like the price of peace is really steep, but I'll pay it.
We'll fight tooth and nail for ourselves on our family.
It's a good life now. I don't want to screw it up.
Yeah. I mean, we got lucky enough that my dad came back into the picture. And, we've still got stuff we're working out, but he's still done decently. He's the one that did the whole contact.
Yeah.
He sent us birthday cards for like a year or so.
Yeah, he sent some cards and then a letter. And so I had sent a letter back, and I had Tristan send a letter back, and they did that for about a year and a half. And then finally you guys got to meet up.
Yep.
And then you got to go camping, and it's like it was that quick. It didn't take that long to repair that, and you didn't talk to him for like 3 years.
Exactly.
So yeah, and then there's your mother who just seems to think that like life has gone on.
I know.
Like it's such
my mother is a recovering alcoholic. In AA. AA's her life, her world, and gotten involved in other.
I talk about, like, when I work for you, you know, it's like, okay, taking care of you on a basic level, taking care of the children, taking care of the animals, doing the cooking, sewing clothes. That's like, well, not sewing clothes, but, you know, the basic things are like my duties, you know, that's
Yeah.
just expected. Now, anything extra that I do is like what I would consider like unpaid.
And, well, exactly. I mean,
And so it's like, you do know your worth, you know, about the quote unquote unpaid labor, but it does not include those basic things.
no.
But, you know, extra stuff, yeah. Because then
Yes.
it's like, then it should be reciprocated. Like how you do my legs every night and stuff. You
Yes,
know?
I do.
It's like, you should count that in too. Because it's like I was saying, I do about $1,000 worth of extra work a month.
Yeah.
But I get a personal massage every night too.
Yeah, it should be equitable to both parties.
Yeah. And that's the same thing that we carry on for him too.
Yes.
It's like, if we do something extra for you, we expect you to have some payback and do some stuff for us as well.
Exactly. Yeah, because it has to be fair, and you have to know the balance. Okay, let me see. I just gotta make sure this is good, and then we'll get going. Okay, I'm gonna mute and go into it. Okay.
Just,
Some highly toxic parents are quite jealous of their children and the opportunities that they have, so they might overtake you in your goals or force you to live their own long gone dreams. Number 4, they don't see their children as individuals. Highly toxic parents, or HTPs, see their children as extensions of themselves only. They want their kids to follow in their footsteps or live out the dreams they never got to accomplish. Because they see their kids as small versions of themselves, they fear the kids being autonomous and leaving them, so they prevent them from being themselves and functioning as an individual. Any undesirable behavior that can make them look bad is ridiculed both publicly and privately. The child becomes an adult who doesn't have a separate identity, nor do they know who they are. Number 5, they control their children using guilt and money. Healthy parents can give gifts, affirmation, and physical affection without expecting anything in return because they know it's not a business deal that requires reciprocity to make it work. They do it because they want to and love to. HTPs will give a child all these things and demand something in return. If the child doesn't, they're reminded of the sacrifices that the parent made and everything they've done. Children become afraid to ask for help and for things that they do need because they'll be asked to give something back that they don't want. They may turn into suspicious, distrustful adults who question kindness and doubt people's intentions. Number 6, they always put their feelings first. Putting your feelings first isn't bad, but if you do it often and at the expense of others, that is a toxic trait. Parents who do this in a family environment don't create positive relationships with their children. By not considering the family's feelings and opinions about family matters, these parents force their kids to hide their true feelings to please and soothe the parent. This can result in an adult who lies and hides who they are and downplays their own needs and feelings. Number 7, they demand your attention and praise. Toxic parents can't live without attention and praise. It has to be positive, of course, and you must give it often. Well-adjusted parents know that their kid needs to be their own person, away from them to grow. HTP's constant.
All right. Yes. As far as it goes, for my side, with the things that have happened, that is something that I got from my mother was the constant praise and affection. I came into this relationship with that. It's been taking a lot of work, and I have to make sure not to do it. I mean, but I don't think parents understand how much they lead on to their children.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Guru kind of does that too. It's like, am I doing good? Did I do good? You know?
Yes.
Like, but I still try to, even when he doesn't say something, I try to make a point and say, that looks really awesome. You did really good. You're doing a great job, you know. And more importantly, I like to talk about that after he starts to go to sleep. Because I cannot tell you how many times that I had thought that I was doing really good in my life, and then only to overhear my parents or my grandmother talking, or like when I heard them talking on the phone.
Even like right before all this went down.
That I will never forget that.
No.
That makes me want to cry. Even now, it was like, holy shit, you're supposed to be in my fucking corner. You're supposed to be the one to like help me through this stuff, and it's like you were just tearing me down behind my back. I mean, just the worst shit that you could think of.
I know.
And so it's like, I can't count how many times I went to bed and I would hear that. And I was like, I thought I was doing really good, you know? And
yes.
And so your need for praise and affection and stuff was like, it did not jive well with me, because it was like I had to learn to be without it and just assume I was doing good if she wasn't yelling at me.
Well, exactly. That's one of the biggest things on your side is the yelling.
Yeah. And so I've also tried to learn how to now praise you the same way without you having to say something, because that's what did it. You know? So it was like, it is important for people to do that, particularly with children, but also in their marriages and relationships.
Exactly.
Or at least say thank you for doing this. It made my life easier. You know, stuff like that. It makes a big difference.
It does. It really does. I mean, I cannot believe how much you end up with issues from your own parent about those things. And it's like, I get it in some ways, you know, as a parent, you won't understand that you're affecting your kid that much, but you do.
Right. I mean, particularly if you have like your mother's mindset and you're just trying to live day to day. I mean, she still says it. She's like, I remember I used to just chat my mom's ass when your mother would talk about living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And she still says it, and she's in her 70s now.
I know.
And it's like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, we live less than that and still do more with our time and our money and everything. It's just like, what are you doing? So I can imagine the way that she was living, thinking in the now, in the here.
That's the biggest thing. And my mother was one of those that, credit cards. That means I can just go blow as much money as possible and then rack up this debt that's just unrealistic.
Right. And now she's acting like she was so involved with you when you were younger and everything. It's like, the hell you were, lady.
Yes.
It's like you were so focused, hyper-focused on your own situation, your own struggles, that your sons were buried underneath that.
Exactly.
You know, like, how many stressful situations did you tell me that you had to deal with like either the car being repossessed or the car catching on fire or
there were several times
moving
crashes,
leaving animals behind, you know, having animals get killed, you know? It's like, what the hell? I mean, and you were the one that, I mean, even when you moved in with me and she had that dog, she did not try very hard to get that dog a home. You know that I would have found a place for that damn dog.
No, and then we just find out, well, I had to put him to sleep.
You know, what gets me the most about that is she calls up crying to you.
I know.
Asking you to console her. And I remember you on the phone saying, oh, it's okay, you didn't have a choice. You know, you did what you had to do. And I'm like, you know, I'm like,
I will never be that naive again. No. And I will never understand people.
It was your dog.
I know. And I would never understand people that are like, well, I didn't have a choice. I have to do this. No. You have a choice. When you get that animal, you have a commitment to that animal now. It doesn't matter how egotistical you are or what's going on.
Yeah.
You have a commitment to that animal, and now you better find a place where that animal and yourself can go, or be on the streets with that animal.
Yeah, I will live in a tent in the middle of the fucking desert before somebody tells me that I can't have my animals like
Exactly.
with me. I do not care. I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, I've done it before. I will do it again.
Yep.
And we ended up with Speedy too.
Yep.
Your cat, and she was so screwed up in the head, she wouldn't get off the counters.
I know.
And we let her go outside. She was happy outside, but then she disappeared.
Yes.
What the fuck?
And I mean, with your mother, we ended up losing her house.
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah. What? I mean, yeah, my childhood home. I stayed there.
You've been there most of your life.
22 years I lived there, and she can't pay the fucking mortgage, and then she ends up losing the house.
Single mother.
Yes.
And again, my mother, single mother.
Can't handle like financial responsibilities. My grandfather told me that she couldn't handle financial responsibilities, and it's like at the age of 12, they started having me go through all of her checking and stuff and making sure that she was paying her bills like she was supposed to, and I have to report to him.
And cut up credit cards too.
Yeah, cut up right in front of her.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to hear you do it on the phone right now. And I'm like, I go to my mom, I need to see your credit cards, like freaking like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And
something that a 12-year-old should never understand at that point.
She's yelling in the background, and oh my god, I have my own fucking life, and I can't believe that they only think about money, don't they? And I'm like sitting there,
So then that shouldn't have bothered you if that was truly the case.
Right.
If you're not caring about money,
right?
Why are you worried about your credit cards getting chopped up then?
And she was like, well, whatever, then, and I was like, are you?
Well, because she would just order a new one,
yeah,
a new credit card. It might inconvenience her for a couple of days, but
I will remember to this day what set him off too. He's like, what credit cards does she have? And I'm starting to list the ones that she has. And then I got to the gas card. He flipped his shit. He was like, you never pay for gas with a credit card. And then he just like lost it on that.
And now just about everybody does.
I know. But it is cheaper still if you pay for cash.
Yeah, it is. Always has been.
But he lost the shit on that one. That's what tipped him over.
Yeah.
And then he found out that she was paying for like cancer insurance and life insurance. And he's like, what the hell was that for? And she doesn't have it now anyway. So he was right. She paid into it all of those years, and it was useless. She just stopped, so she lost like thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why are you worried about shit like that? He's like, you could just set aside that money into a high yielding bank account.
That would have been the better way to go.
And give your family that if something happens,
It's true.
But yeah, it's like that. I never should have had to do that, and that lasted all the way through until I was about 19, when I just found a different interest, and then I got distracted, and then that just threw everything to hell. And that's your fault, apparently.
That's fine. I'll take it. All right, let's get to more of this.
Constantly demand your attention and interaction. This forced bonding is tiring and time-consuming for children. They may turn into adults that struggle to say no and suffer through things they really don't want to do because of leftover guilt. Number 8, they withhold love as a form of punishment. Being punished by your parents is necessary to learn that consequences exist for actions. However, healthy punishment options exist. HTPs will often use the silent treatment on their child to discipline them instead of expressing their displeasure in a productive way. This passive aggressiveness makes the child feel pressured into solving a problem that they didn't even cause. They may tell their kids that they don't love or like them, give them short, rude answers and dirty looks, and refuse physical touch. This manifests in children who hide the truth from their parents or engage in worse behavior if they believe that their parents don't care about them. Number 9, they give no apologies and take no blame. Well-rounded parents aren't perfect people, and they're aware of this. They know that their actions can and do have unpleasant consequences, and they communicate this with their children when they hurt them unintentionally or intentionally. HTPs are not in that group. They are not self-aware or focused on self-improvement. They always see themselves as the victim. They're too preoccupied with judging people and blaming everyone else, even their own kids. They refuse to give an apology because they believe that children aren't worthy of them. This makes the child feel like the wrongs done to them don't matter or need correction. So they become adults who don't voice any grievances and suffer in silence. And number 10, they ignore healthy boundaries. Well-rounded parents know that having boundaries is good for themselves and their children because it teaches them self-respect. They will knock on the door first, allow you privacy, and encourage general communication within the family. HTPs don't know what boundaries are, at least not in regard to their kids. They give little to no privacy, they trample all over boundaries and force an enmeshed dynamic in the family where you can't tell where you start and the rest of the family ends. Parents who display this toxic trait make it difficult for children to recognize, set, understand, and maintain boundaries. This child becomes an adult with little understanding of healthy boundaries and respect for others. So, do you relate to any of the things we've mentioned here? If you come from a home where you didn't receive unconditional love, affirmation, security, practicing independence and individuality can help you break this cycle and be a better, more adjusted, secure person. It takes a long time and a lot of work, but it's rewarding in the long run. While it may not be simple or possible for some people to leave their toxic parents and guardians, action does need to be taken to start healing. If you are a victim of toxic parenting, therapy is extremely important and helpful long-term. If you're a parent who sees these characteristics in yourself, help from a mental health professional can help you break these negative patterns. Did you find this video valuable? Tell us in the comments below. Please like and share it with friends that might find use in this video too. Make sure to subscribe to Psych2Go and hit the notification bell for more content. All the references used are added in the description box below. What greater love is there than a mother for their child? That feeling.
You will no longer disrespect me. I am a better mother.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're skipping over that last one and going straight into Amir's because it's got about 37 minutes and we're already an hour, or not hour, but like almost an hour into our stream, 47 minutes. So let's just get on because I'm sure this one's going to take us a long time to go through. So we'll see if this is even a two-parter. I can save the other one for next time and do it like how we did it this time. So let's get into this. I mean, listen. If you made it this far within my live stream, afterwards, comments, let's walk. And like, subscribe, and if you like my stuff, then follow me, press that notification bell to say when I'm getting everything.
Check out Facebook.
Yeah, check out my Facebook, LongWalker's Live.
The Monastery Patreon.
The Monastery Patreon.
We have a TikTok.
We have TikTok. Check us out. We're trying to get everything rounded and going so that we can get our word out there even more and we can help as many people as possible. So, not this day. Let's get on with the video.
Mother because of going no contact with mine.
You had a responsibility to provide those bare minimum things. And you think that they owe you for that? That's why your kids don't talk to you.
If you're unfamiliar with what going no contact means, it basically means that you're literally going no contact and you're not talking to said person. And in regards to mothers, I always thought I was alone dealing with, my own trauma and my own relationship with my mom, which we're getting to later. But what we're going to find out in this video is that that's not the case. Now, I have made a video in the past talking about parents in general, and that's now at a whopping 1.5 million views. But like I said before, this video is focusing specifically on mothers, and my next one in the series will focus specifically on fathers. So be sure to subscribe if you like this kind of content. There are a lot of people who are starting to go no contact with their mom, or even starting to put up more walls for a variety of reasons, most of which stem from childhood trauma and emotional abuse. Making this video has made me feel better knowing that I'm not alone in this situation, and I can only hope it does the same for you. But if you are someone who has an amazing relationship with your mother, that's good. I only wish the best for you, and I hope that to be the case. But your experience is not the same that everybody has, and your definition of a mother is not what everybody has. Because for most people that I know, especially in my life, going no contact or putting up all these walls or going little no contact, it's the last resort. It's not, oh, we just disagree politically, or oh, we got in a big fight about this. No, I'm talking about this serious situation where it's just a result of years and years of trauma and abuse. So I have to make that distinction. That's what I'm referring to in this video.
All right. As he was saying that, I was pointing down. I'm like, yes, it's exactly right. This does not happen overnight. It's been years and years. I mean, we said it was 6 years for your mother that we stopped talking.
8 years.
8 years, yes.
8 years for your mother, 6
mine,
years
yeah.
for mine.
And I mean, this happens, and you just get to a point where it's no good. You can't do it anymore.
Yeah, and I do understand that, like he was talking about, like politically and stuff, people are doing this kind of just on a whim and just like it's being encouraged. Actually, particularly Democrats are saying,
Yeah.
if those people are toxic, if they don't support this or that or the other, then cut them out of your lives. This isn't that.
No.
And as a matter of fact, like we did not have internet at the time that I kicked my mother out. There was literally no other influence except just the drifting apart.
No, we don't even get cell service where we are.
Right, exactly. So there was like literally no other influence. Like wasn't listening to all these other people doing. We just did it. It just happened. And I've noticed that for a big majority of people our age, it just like happened. It's like this collective awakening. And like the bill comes due, our grandparents and our parents, they like used and used and used, and now the bill comes due.
You just hit that point. You just hit that block. You're like, I can't.
I mean, it just doesn't work anymore, especially if you're a healed or a healing human being.
Yes.
It just doesn't work. You see the injustices, and you just won't happen.
Exactly.
It's unfortunate. Nobody wants that.
No, you don't. I mean, it would be so much easier if they were in our life.
Right.
In a way. But I mean, the reason that we went this route.
Like, if they were normal, functional, non-toxic people, then yeah. Like I said, in my culture, you're supposed to put a trailer or a house on the property, and the mother stays there, and the daughter takes care of the mother, and the mother takes care of the grandchildren and the animals and the garden sometimes, and that's just, it's like this symbiotic thing, but like we're supposed to take care of them, like by feeding them. And,
but in their mind, it's completely different.
Yeah, and it's like, I was taught that, and then she just totally graduated away from it.
I know.
And because you saw it with my grandmother. My grandmother lived with her on her property, but she freaking hated her and didn't want her there and stuff. So it was like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, her brain...
Narcotics.
The narcotics, they really affected her.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that for sure.
I mean, she changed herself into being the exact opposite of what I remember when I was very, very young. But starting around the age of 9 or so, I started to see that kind of a shift, and that's.
And I mean, the stories that you were telling me of her towards the end there were just outrageously stupid.
Like which one?
What she was doing to herself with some of the narcotics.
I know. Like, you mean like the sleeping pills and stuff?
Yes.
Too, right? No. It was great fun for me. I thought it was really funny sometimes, but I mean, when you step back and look at it through a different lens.
That's why I said outrageously stupid.
Yeah,
it's like,
I mean, sitting there and like washing the same dish for like 40 minutes,
Yeah.
Ambien is a hell of a drug, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it is.
I was subjected to it as well, and never again. I mean, that shit was crazy.
No, we came off of all Western
Everything,
medicine.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, the stuff that they're giving people.
Well, I was pregnant and nursing.
Yep.
And it's like, that's okay, but they don't want you to smoke cannabis.
Exactly.
What the hell?
But there's been tests done on these medications, and we know they're safe when they're not.
Well, they know what to expect. They know the risks, and it's like, okay, so you're admitting that there's risks, and you know that what to expect with it. Right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I don't know. That was crazy to me. And it's like, I took Ambien only one time after he was born, and he slept for like 8.5 hours.
You got scared.
As a newborn.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And I literally think that was the last time that I ever took.
And I mean, doctors say that's okay.
I know. And
like the doctors told you to take it.
Yes. I was like literally prescribed that. And also when I was pregnant, is when I drove my ass over here to pay the deposit on the place in Twin Oaks. And like literally the only thing I remember from that entire drive is coming off of that hill over there and almost hitting an eagle.
Yeah.
And talking to Gloria for a few minutes. And other than that, I don't remember shit. And it's like, that is scary.
It is.
You know, who wants to even risk that?
I mean, the whole story of Tiger Woods.
Exactly, same
He was
shit.
on it.
Same thing, you know? Crazy
Yes.
stuff. And then I remember toward the end of my relationship with my mother, I was having anxiety, and it had flared up really bad again. And so she gave me what she told me was an Ativan. But I got back here, and again, I slept for like 8 hours, and so I came to find out later that it was an Ambien. So I did have an Ambien one other time
Yeah.
after he was born, and that's what came from it. And I was so pissed.
I know. But then what do you do at that point?
Exactly.
It's already happened.
She's like, well, you got some good sleep though, didn't you?
Yeah, and you know what could have happened?
Exactly. It's like, if you weren't here, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I can't actually honestly remember if you were here or not.
And I mean, not to mention, you know, the other drug that I want to warn people about that we had our fill with and share of is tramadol.
Oh my god.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't let the doctors say that it's not that bad of a drug. It's not. That thing is one of the worst ones that I have seen.
I had so many seizures on that.
I watched her go through at least 3 or 4 seizures.
I mean, one was bad enough that I fell out of a chair and bit my tongue, and to this day I have a scalloped tongue.
Yes, and she actually fell and hit her head one time.
Yep. I remember playing.
That was when you bit your tongue, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I was sitting in the chair by the.
Yeah.
And so, like, okay, I have this condition called vagal syncope, which means if I like stretch or my blood pressure like goes spike and drops down, I could pass out, right? This just took it to a whole new level. So when I would stretch or something, out, and then seizure. And
Yeah.
I've passed out before, but I've never had seizures until I took that drug.
Exactly.
And it stopped, you know, after I stopped taking it. And then when I had just taken a couple, it did it again. Like, it happened like instantly. And I was like,
and it's
okay.
never done that before.
Yeah, like, never gonna do it again.
Yeah.
It used to be like 6 months, 8 months of taking it consistently before something would happen. This was within the week.
Yeah. It was bad.
And I was like, that's so not worth it. Oh my
No,
god.
it's not.
Oh my god, that hurts so bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it hurts everyone around too.
Yeah.
To have to watch somebody go through that is not a good thing.
That's
you don't
scary.
know how they're gonna come out of it, if they're gonna be okay.
Right.
But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, if it does happen, just be with the person, and as they're coming back to, just let them know it's gonna be okay. Don't go into a panic, because they will start to come out of it. I mean, unless within 20 minutes they don't.
Yeah.
Which in that case, you better call the ambulance.
Right.
There's other issues then.
And so I had one grand mal seizure, and that was the very first one that I ever had.
Yes.
And
that you went to the hospital.
Yeah, I had to go to the hospital for that one because I wasn't coming out of it, and I stopped breathing for a while.
Well, and it's the first time you've done that.
Right.
And that scared the crap out of your mother.
And then I had a couple more at Morella. I remember because I had come back from my grandparents. I was really super stressed out. And I had it in bed with you. And I remember you, stroking my hair and saying, what just happened? You had another episode. Because to me, it just feels like I'm coming out of a really nice, deep sleep. And I'm like, why the hell are you waking me up? And then here, I had the one by the table.
And the one when we were playing Mario.
And one when I was playing
Monopoly. So 3.
And Tristan was there for that. And,
Yeah, that one, he was 6, 7?
Maybe, yeah.
And I had to send him to his room and just be like, everything's okay, but just go to your room and I'll let you know what's up.
So now he spent many, many years being afraid of Caesar salads because we had a Caesar salad, but he thought it meant seizure salad, and he thought that was the costume. But yeah, that shit. Oh my god. Hell no. All of Western medicine is poison.
It is.
Yeah.
I heard it going off a little bit ago.
Did you?
Yeah, I can't remember if there. Alright, let's get back to this, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, we're all over the place.
video. And without further ado, let's get right into this.
Days in a few days, and a year ago, I mailed my letter to my mother and went no contact, and I have not spoken to her since. So, yay, we're celebrating a year of grief. First lesson is that time actually doesn't always heal. Honestly, I don't know if I ever will be fully healed. I know I will grow and evolve, but as far as fully healing from it, I don't know if that's 100% possible in this lifetime. The pain doesn't go away.
That's valid. It is a weird feeling, almost like you're grieving in real life. Like you're grieving somebody who is alive. It's the weirdest situation because you're grieving this idea of what you thought a mother was supposed to be. Because when you're cutting off somebody or you're setting up these huge walls, you're leaving your life essentially. And it is hard. Despite all the things that y'all have gone through, it's still something you have to grieve and kind of like settle with, like, wow, this person's actually gone. And it is even weirder when you have that same person trying, like you see them trying, you see them trying to be better, you see them wanting to, I guess, foster the relationship, but then you also realize that it's like a bait and switch. I think this will be good for like 1 or 2 months, and then you just go back to how they used to be. That is incredibly frustrating and gaslighting and traumatic. And at some point, you do just need to nip it in the bud, and you're gonna grieve that experience. You're gonna grieve that person just kind of gone.
Go into lesson number 2. The grief and anger comes in major waves. We're not going to get emotional. I am a better mother because of going no contact with mine. Despite all of life's challenges, overall, I am just happier. I feel lighter. The way I felt when I had my mom in my life was an indescribable, sick, icky feeling, and that's how I felt my whole life. So to not feel that anymore, the grief and anger comes in waves, but the relief is everything and more.
The relief is always there. The relief is what's holding you down. And it's like, this is what I yearn for. I live for, I've always desired this amount of peace, you know, the relaxation, not having to argue every single day or every week or dealing with the negative calls, this and that. The peace is more than worth all the random spouts of grief and anger that will come throughout the years. There are like good 2 to 3 times I'm just like completely over it, and I'm like really down in the dumps, or I'm just like extremely pissed off. They do come in waves, but the relaxation that I personally have gotten from this and trying to mend things with my mother, we're working on things, we're not working on things, we're talking, not talking. It's a whole thing. And she may even see this video. I know she watches some of my content. This is an extremely vulnerable thing to be doing, but all I can do is just share my experience and my thought with you guys 110% as I am. And I know this video helps out more people than I have ever thought could imagine when I make my stories about mothers and traumas and things like that.
You aren't wrong for going no contact, and your kids are going to be okay. I spent the last year day in and day out questioning myself for my kids. Was always asking myself, is this worth it? Am I making the right choice for them? Am I being selfish? The answer is no, because it would have been worse to have my children witness the relationship that me and my mom had and the way that my mom moves. Over time, it would have really affected them. I could not show up and be the best mom to them because I had this demon that was like sucking the life out of me. You feel me? Like I could not show up. I couldn't show up for myself. If you believe that you're making the right choice, you're making the right choice. With all that being said, I could write a novel on all the ways that this has affected me, but I'm going to leave you with this. We do not wake up one day and just decide to go no contact. You feel me? This took everything inside of me. This took 28. This took so much pain, anger, suffering, trauma. I didn't make this decision just off rip. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do that. Children do not wake up and just decide to completely cut their fucking mom or dad out. They don't do that.
Now, I will say we do see some of them doing that, especially like as the rise of politics, but more younger. Like, I don't talk to my dad. He's a crazy Trumper. We see some of that stuff, but we're not talking about those kind of people. Like, I'm genuinely talking like the more mature crowd, like the people dealing with years of trauma. Like she has said, this shit ain't easy. It's hard. It's still hurtful every week when I'm like talking to her, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I gotta go like do this or do that. And it's just added stress. It just hurts. It's so crazy, especially when you see how other people's parents move. Like I'm always one to, you know, focus on me and only me, and I can always control the controllable, which is going no contact. But when I see how other mothers move, how mothers act, and the way that they mother their children, jealous. And I know I'm fully aware that, you know, my mom did all that she could to provide, but providing and getting a roof over my head is not the end all be all, and that shouldn't be the end all be all if you are a parent. And especially now, I'm even willing to just, accept like whatever happened throughout middle school, high school, like whatever. But even as adults, your behavior is still the same, and you're not able to recognize what needs to change, and you just gotta go. And if you're someone going through this situation, you know what's best for you, and like your peace is worth it. Especially if that is an interesting perspective. If you do have children, you have the added layer of like, okay, am I really gonna strip now a grandmother away from my kids? And to a certain point, you have to, because why would you, if you deal with all this trauma and your mother's still the same way, why are you going to have your kids go through that same thing and do the same damn things mentally that they did to you? That's not fair to you or your children. So like this mother, she made the right choice. She did what she had to do. But, those are some valid points. The grief and the anger is going to come in waves. It's a hard thing to do. But at the end of the day, you just stand on business and know that if you know the tea, you know what's really up and how that relationship was throughout your life, and if you are making a good decision.
One type of person who you cannot play in their face is the person who is actively healing and working through their mother wound.
Yup. You cannot. If you don't know what that term means, like playing in your face, that means like you're playing games, like someone's trying to connive you, someone's trying to dupe you, someone's like not being respectful in front of your face. And that's something that people can't do to someone who is going through cutting off their mother. If you're trying, I'm gonna let her go because she probably gonna snap.
You get to a point where you have enough balls to stand up to your mother, the person that you were conditioned to seek love and approval and validation from. You unlock a whole new level of power.
Nasty, a whole new level of power. Like the
All right, I just had to stop it right there for a second and just kind of talk about this too. It's like, even, my mother cutting her off and everything was a big deal too, because like I lived with her a lot of my life. My parents were divorced, and my mom went through so many guys, at least 6 that I can remember. And it's like she didn't like to be controlled. So like one of them, who was probably the best for her, he was very, he was a little older, and that's kind of what she said was the issue, but it really wasn't. He was a retired firefighter. He was good with his money, good with everything, and he was trying to get her on a better path with the money, which was what she needed. He had a really good family unit going.
Yeah.
He was good. And she just couldn't take it anymore because, well, no, he's like saying what I can and can't buy. And it's like, well, yeah, because your history isn't good.
Right. And the problem with that is, like, again, you were put on the back burner. She didn't think about how you felt about this. She would introduce these new people into your life. Some of them you got along with. Some of you got along with really, really well. And you thought, oh, this is really cool. And then she just takes it away.
Leaves. So it's like I never get to say bye to the person that I've been talking to as well. It's not just her.
Right.
But I was making a relationship with these people on behalf of, okay, something could come of it.
Right. This might be my new stepdad.
Yes.
It's like, because you saw your dad do that. He remarried and he stuck with her.
Yeah, he stuck with her. I mean, he's in a happy relationship right now. My stepmother's having some health issues right now, and I hope that she, we pray for her every day, and I hope that she comes out of it.
And we wonder what will happen with your dad once she's gone, because
we do,
it's like they've been just a really close unit for a really long time.
The good thing is my dad's a very independent hiker type.
Right.
He likes to just go out and do stuff. So, I'm pretty sure that's what he'll end up doing, is just doing a lot more hiking.
Probably.
And whatnot. So I mean, I know that he'll make it work, and he's always happy. He can come up here anytime he wants to. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
And so I mean, you saw that modeled, and then you have the other side where it's like you can't get a couple fucking months in with some of these people.
Exactly.
Before they're just like. I mean, did she ever have a conversation with you saying, "Hey, this isn't working. I'm gonna like."
No, never. It would just be like, I remember one day it was just like, I'm like, oh, when are we gonna go see so and so? It's like, no, I'm not doing anything.
Just like that.
Yeah.
That's that's what always got
You
me.
know,
was, like,
or sometimes she just unload on me about everything.
I know that, like we were talking about boundaries and
Yeah.
privacy and stuff, and it's like you came across.
It's like, oh my God, he did this, and I can't go back. You know, oh my God, it's just like, you know, a kid should not have to listen to that.
No.
But you know, I grew up in the AA thing. I went to a lot of events for AA. You know, I would be the kid that was in the corner as the parent in the event because I'm a single parent that can't afford anything else. This is what I have to do. A kid should never be subjected to having to go to those meetings and dealing with that. For one, a lot of those people there are not in good situations, and bringing a kid there just does not help.
No.
You know, they need a support group of people that they can be with and feel supported with, not like kids there, you know, some crying, or I mean, maybe they've had issues in the past with kids. Let me tell you, just don't bring a kid.
Yeah. I mean, it's a toxic environment all the way around.
Yes.
And you also learn how to pick up on that rehab speak, you know, to say when
Yeah,
to be
and
said
it's a
to
very, very-
avoid accountability.
Yes.
You know.
And I don't agree with AA. I do not think that somebody should be doing that because, you know, they say, well, you're always going to have to do this. You're always going to have to. And I don't agree with that. See, with me, once I found out what my issues were and started working on them, I can have I was having an issue with drinking. Now I can have a beer and be fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to drink as much as possible anymore or sneak it in here or there. No, it's like we figured out our issues, started working them, and now there's no issue with that.
Yeah, we spent a good 3 years solidly
Not
taking
drinking.
anything
Yes.
else. And now we might drink 3 times a year max.
Yeah, maybe. You know, if we really want to.
And it's usually for like solstice or equinox or something like
Yes.
that, you know, but like she would try to sit there and tell me too. She's like, well, you gotta stop trying to make him quit things altogether because you're always gonna have to trade it off with something. And she's like, for me, it's my diet cokes or whatever the hell she was taking, and coffee and all that. And I'm like, no, no, I don't accept that. Sorry, like because then you're not a healed person. And that's what she said. Well, yeah, no, you never really do. It's called recovery. You're recovering for the rest of your life. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you are looking for what has been lost and will never be found then. You know, it's like I don't believe that. I just
Exactly.
It pissed me off then, it pisses me off now.
It does.
So once you find what heals you, then it should be a non-issue.
Exactly. And I mean, these people are being lied to, and I get it. It works for some. I mean, but really,
but it doesn't really.
What is the difference of working and getting your life on track and moving on?
It's a Band-Aid, you know?
Yeah.
And some people have been successful in it. You know, Justice Silva seems like he's pretty successful in it.
But I don't know if he goes to meetings anymore.
I don't think so, but like I said, he used it and then he moved on.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like
and don't get me wrong. Don't just not go to AA because that's how it sounds. No,
just
go.
Make it your life.
Give it a try and try to add that to what you do.
Like,
don't what you learn from AA.
It's such a fallacy though because they have the 12-step program. And there's at least 3 of the steps that she didn't complete because she never talked to you about the damage that was done. I know. I still to this day don't think
Well, I just talked about one thing that she should have talked to me about, and she didn't.
Right. Taking away those relationships and putting you in such stressful situations all the time. It's called, what is it, emotional incest?
Yeah.
It's like she made you like the other person in her, like basically the man of the house, so to speak, but without any of the actual like pull of the man of the house. It's like you still didn't have any real say. You didn't have any. You couldn't direct the house or anything. She was just there to like unload on you or drag you around like an accessory or.
Exactly.
You know, I don't know. Wow.
I mean, it just gets ridiculous. Yeah. So I'm gonna try to get through. I don't know if we're gonna get through this one today. I'm already at an hour 15. So let's see what we can do.
The amount of respect that I have for myself, not only because of all the, self-deleting that I tried to do and I fought through that, but now adding in a layer of going through all these things with my mother and going, basically no contact. You can't mess with me. You can't. You cannot mess with me because I know what my peace is worth. I know what I've gone through in life, and what you're not about to do is sit here and play in front of Amir's face, because that's when you meet Jamal, and Jamal will come out and scorch you to earth. Ooh, go scorch earth on that ass. Quite truthfully, do not play with me.
Now, this video is not for the people who have loving mothers. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm speaking specifically to the people who have narcissistic, toxic mothers that they had to either limit contact or go no contact with. Now, if this is you, when you get to that point where you can look your mother in the eye and say that you will no longer disrespect me, that becomes the last time that anybody can disrespect you.
Yep.
I don't hear enough people talk about this, but there is a very, very big shift that happens in your life when you get the balls to stand up to your mother. All your relationships begin to change because you realize that people only benefited from you when you had no boundaries, when you were a people pleaser. That's when they were the most comfortable around you. When you were still shrinking yourself, when you were scared to speak up, when you were scared of losing people. But when you get to that point of decentering your mother and her opinions and seeking validation from her, everything changes. It's up for anybody after that.
Truly. It changes everything. As soon as you're able to stand up to her and you're able to place boundaries in place, you are able to just go no contact completely. At that point, if you're doing that to your mother and you're able to gain the courage to do that and stand in that, even a little contact, and still deal with them and talk to them, but with boundaries, you start to look at everybody different. You start to look at everything around you different, but for the better. Usually for the better. You used to be like, okay, well, does this person treat me how I want to be treated? Do we have good conversations? When we conversate, do we actually sit down and talk? You really just start to analyze who is in your life and how you're being treated, because you respect it even more.
Can't get away with the little slick comments anymore. People can no longer get away with the little shady things that they used to do. And then everybody starts falling off because you begin to realize that almost all of the relationships in your life mimicked the relationship between you and your mother. When you stop chasing your mother's love, you stop chasing emotionally unavailable people. It happens across the board. And it really hits different when you realize you're not starving for love anymore. You're not looking for people to fill a void that your mother created. You filled it. And now your energy says, I'm good either way. That's why a person who is actively healing their mother wound is very powerful, because you cannot manipulate them. You cannot guilt trip them. And you damn sure can't disrespect them and think you're still going to have access to them.
Not happening. Listen, you're not about to disrespect me. I'll give you a good friend and you disrespect me, you mean to, we can talk about it, but you're not going to disrespect me and play in my face. Neither are you going to be someone in my life that's emotionally unavailable. At this point in time, I need friends, I need people, I need the people around me to be emotionally available and mature, to have conversations, to talk, for it to be a bond, not just a one-way street. I can't do the one-way street anymore. Just can't. No one should be doing that. This extends past going no contact with your mothers, but just like those one-way relationships, you deserve more than that. Your worth is more, and your voice is more. This life is more. You get one life, and it's how you're living right now. Is that the life you want to live? Whether it be toxic people around you, toxic parents, toxic friends, or toxic relationships. Oh, it's just this way, or it's still my mother. No. Control the controllable. I'm not saying that you're perfect. I'm not saying that I'm perfect and I never mess up and that I'm this like perfect son. No, I have my faults, but I own them and I work on them at all times. And not everybody is that way.
One thing you will never hear come out of my mouth is, wow, your parents did such a great job raising you. Ever! Nothing triggers me more, because my mom just beat the out of me all the time. Yes, I do have good memories.
Especially now, because of the man that I've become, how public facing I am, and people see the YouTube channel or Instagram or whatever, and they be like, oh my gosh, you're so successful, you're doing this, you're doing that, like your parents did a great job. I get that nonstop, and I just sit there and I'm just like, yeah, because it takes too much context, takes too much I'm not trying to kill the vibe. I'm not trying to just be like, no, actually, like they're being nice. It's a sweet comment. You know, I would never say that to anybody. No, I don't know. I just never had that great of parents to actually sit up for somebody else's face and say, wow, your parents did a great job. No, you don't know that. You really don't. And it is triggering. I ignore it. I just say thank you and I go on because the person is giving me a compliment. I'm not gonna knock them for giving me a compliment. However, internally in my head, I get so frustrated because it's like I am the product of not just me, but everyone around.
See, that's one thing too on this is he says, well, I try to ignore it and I just try to go on, I say, oh, thank you, I put it in my head. But, it's not good that that's still bugging you that badly. It's like, really, they did just know what you are.
Right.
And somebody can say that and you can just be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you like, I learned quite a bit from my mother in the early years, enough to make me what I am today. I mean, it was solidified in my mind and in my heart. And then I learned more from her how not to be. So, in essence, it is still because of her that I am the way that I am.
Exactly.
So I just take it that way. What does irk me is when I say your parents must be so proud, because they're not. My father.
I think that's one of the things he said too.
Yeah, it's like your parents must be so proud. It's like, well, they aren't.
He give less of a rat's ass, honestly.
But it's like I am, for lack of a better term, I am the way that I am because of my mother.
Exactly. And it's like you just have to understand that you still are the way you are because of them. Even if you decided to change something because it did not suit you.
Right.
But you still learned what not to do in that situation then.
Exactly.
It's still learning. It's still through what they did.
Exactly.
And just be thankful that you knew, had the whereabouts to look and say, this isn't right.
Yes, exactly.
So many people live in la la land denial and just go on with their life rather than being like, oh my God, I shouldn't be living this way.
Right, they're not objective at all.
Yes.
Around me, and it took the countless podcasts, the countless books, the countless artists and songs, the countless movies, the countless TV shows to push me and mold who Amir is today, that fought through and decoded and helped me analyze all the crazy shit that my parents did do. The best thing, the best gift that I have, and why I'm not like too emotionally damaged by all the childhood trauma that I have, whether it be like my father just abandoning us or my mother and her like the narcissistic ways and the way she like treat me and talk to me and all the abuse. It's just like they gave me the wonderful gift of what not to be. They gave me the gift of understanding, okay, don't do this, don't do that, treat people like this, treat people like that. And they gave it to me early on, and it's helped me navigate life in a way that I always respect and honor those around me that I truly, truly care about and make sure that they feel the special and love that they deserve.
But who I am today, this version of me had nothing to do with my mother, that's for sure. Wow, your parents did such a good job. They abandoned me. They abandoned me. I haven't talked to my parents in a couple of years. They don't. Everything good that I have in my life, all of the good that I have in my life, is because of me. I left them.
It's not just because of them. I'm grateful for how hard my mother worked to survive. Hello, forever grateful for that. I'm grateful for the bare bones of all the living, but I'm not grateful for like the raising part. Like there's some.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, all of our equipment is set to die here soon, so I'm already about an hour and a half into this, and we will continue this here next Friday, or Wednesday, depending if we have anything else, but probably Friday.
Yeah,
to keep it
I have something else to do.
Yeah. So, this is a good subject, and we've got a lot to say on it. You still haven't even heard the ice tip of our lives, so I'm sure you'll hear it a lot more.
Yeah.
But I appreciate everybody for showing up here. Please, again, like, subscribe if you want to see more content. Keep the algorithm moving so that we can, keep getting the word out there and allowing people to see more and more. So,
You want to run a special thanks?
yeah, let me run the special thanks for everybody, and then we'll call this one.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste.
I have to kiss you.
Yep. It's going. It's not muted.
Always trying to.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Namaste.
Today on the Matt Walsh Show, there's a growing number of allegedly conservative feminist influencers on the right, and it's a major problem. I'll explain why. Also,
Ends with Matt Walsh. That's great.